Hello, everybody. Welcome to Fusco and Friends, the one and only podcast that you need to listen to. Come along for the journey where we chat to some fabulously interesting people about their lives, careers, and so much more. Remember to tell 3 friends if you enjoyed this, and let's get started.
What's up, everybody? It's time now to have a bit of a chat with a friend. So this podcast was recorded many years ago, and as you can see, I've got no hair and no beard. I wanted to do podcasts for a long time, from back when Jared Poland started doing them at Frodo's Photo. I saw them on YouTube, and I did eventually get this one done, which is the one coming up. So many years have passed, and I just didn't get time to get anything done with anyone else, and hopefully in 2024 will be the year that I get more friends and people on the podcast. Anyway, this podcast is one with a guy called Chris Harrison, who's a Newcastle-based photographer, and this was originally shot on a GoPro camera, and the audio was recorded on a laptop from the laptop microphone, so the quality isn't that good, but never mind. I've recently spoken to Chris again and asked if he'd be up for another podcast, and he's up for it, so it'd be good to catch up with him again for part 2. I've always been a fan of Chris's work as well, and love the images that I produce, as they've got such a unique style, and one of the reasons is due to the camera stuff he uses, which, funny enough, now is what I shoot too, the Fuji system. So let's get into the podcast with Chris, and hopefully he'll be on the podcast again soon.
Right, this is the first episode of the Fusco Media podcast, which I want to do hopefully a lot more of them. And I want to get a couple of photographers on, videographers, just to talk about general photography and video stuff and just have interviews with them. And today I've got Chris Harrison with us. So I want to introduce yourself, who you are, where you're at.
Hi, I'm Chris, based in Newcastle upon Tyne. I'm basically a people photographer.
And where can people find your stuff online?
www.grimeandglamour.co.uk or .com, takes you to the same website. I've also got a blog which I'll link from there, Flickr, again just under Grime and Glamour, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, they're all on there.
And so how did you first get into photography?
Never a film photographer, always interested in images, but never that interested in photography as such. And in 2007, where are we now, 2013, so yeah, about 2006, 2007, Christmas party, one of the lads I worked with had a little Ixus 5, Canon camera, and it's the first digital camera I'd ever seen. Obviously you can see the pictures on the back. I just thought it was amazing. And he said, "Oh, I'm buying a new one, I'll sell it to you if you want." So I bought it off him, and that was it, I was hooked. Replaced that within about 3 weeks with something bigger and possibly better, but I couldn't understand how to use it, so I ended up swapping it for something else.
I'll say I got one of those Fuji S700 bridge camera things.
S7000?
Yeah.
That was the first, that's what I swapped it for.
Yeah. Well, I had that.
That and an F11?
Yeah.
Little point and shoot, silver point and shoot. Those are the 2 cameras I got. The S7000, fantastic camera, absolutely.
It's great, and then it was like, I want to do stuff like in low light and that kind of thing, where it wasn't that good, and then I ended up getting the 400D.
Well, I got the Manola, I can't remember what they're called. Kanika Minolta, a D7,
right.
Which a friend of mine, Dave Gilfillian in Durham, still uses. He's got 3 of them, I think. It was an SLR, the first one I'd ever seen. I couldn't tell on it. So I took it back. The guy at the camera shop was brilliant. He said, "Yeah, I'll swap it. What do you want to do?" So I took the S7000, and it was a great camera. I learned a lot using that camera. And then I moved to like Canon. What was the big Canon that set it all off? Was it the 300 or the 350?
I don't know.
It was one of those two.
Because that sort of came in when it was the 400 had just come out.
Right.
So
well, it was the first, as far as I remember, it was the first camera SLR to come under £1,000, and that was kind of my first proper camera, if you know. Excuse me.
And what about how and when we first met? Because I was trying to find out what it was. I know we spoke on Facebook.
I would put money it was on Facebook that we met, and I think the first time we met was the car shoot with Stacey Tairline. Stacey Tairline.
So I was trying to figure out how we met before that to actually arrange it, but I couldn't.
I don't think we'd all done it online.
No, like where we can go out online. to find each other?
I assume Facebook. That's how I meet most people these days. I'd either seen your photography or you'd seen mine. We'd added each other as a friend, we'd got in touch, we'd talked. And I think, if I remember rightly, as far as actually meeting, I put up a casting, saying I need somebody with a car.
Yeah.
And you got in touch and said, I'll do it. And I was thinking, what an idiot, he's never even met me before. But I was glad you did. We had a good night that night, it was a good shoot, yeah.
Hopefully having another one soon. But
Yeah.
The plan was to do it at night, right? But
there was a model we wanted, couldn't make it. I'm kind of glad we didn't with this rain, to be honest.
It would have been not that good.
No, it wouldn't have been great. And I definitely need a wider angle lens as well to get it right.
And you said before you shot with a Canon, but then switched all over to Fuji. Was there any reason behind
I had Canons for years. I had either the 300 or 350D, then I had a 30D, then I had a 40D. And I was more than happy with Canon. I borrowed somebody's 7D once, so I was going to get a 7D. Funnily enough, I've never worried about aggressive 5D Mark II, which I know is a brilliant camera.
Yeah.
But I wasn't doing video at the time, I wasn't that interested in video. I just felt that I didn't need a full frame, what is it, 21 megapixel or whatever it is, and it's just, I don't need it. The stuff I do, crop frame's fine, it's not a problem. Plus all the lenses I had wouldn't have worked with a full frame.
Yeah.
So I was going to buy a 7D, and then Fuji kind of reappeared out of nowhere with this. It was the X100. I think it was the first one, was it the X10? Might have been the X10 was the first one. Anyway, I can't remember. And Zach Arias, who I'm a big fan of, I was reading on his blog, and he just raved.
I remember that. He did that review on the X100 that he got, and that was just...
That was it, and I just thought, this sounds like the type of camera for me. So I bought the X10 first, which I must admit I didn't have for very long. And it was a fabulous camera, it was brilliant. And I thought, oh yeah, so I got the X100. And I just thought, yeah, this is it. And then of course I put the X Pro 1 out, which was interchangeable lenses because the others were all fixed lens. So it was interchangeable lenses, and I thought, this suits me. I'm really weak as well, so big SLR with a battery pack and a massive lens. And I thought, I'll carry a lot less kit around with me. I just think this would suit me. So anyway, I sold all my Canon gear except my flashes, because that's the great thing about Fuji, I didn't use any flashes. Sold all my gear. Bought the X Pro 1, and I'm glad I did it. There's a couple of regrets, a couple of things that haven't quite worked, but I'm more than happy with it. Yeah.
Excuse me. What regrets, if any?
The video thing, as expected, I've now got into video, and I must admit, when I bought the X Pro 1, when I sold everything to get that, I did and about getting the 7D instead, so that I would have that video capability. And I just thought, no, I'm never going to use video in a big way, I don't really need it. And of course now, I'm at the stage where I think, I really wish I had a decent video camera. And one day I will do, but I just don't think Fuji are ever going to be that worried about the whole video thing. Maybe they'll surprise us, maybe they'll put something out in a year or two, and it'll make all the difference. But the video's alright at the minute, the quality's okay, it's just you can't zoom in, you don't get a great depth of field with it, or shallow depth of field that I like. So it's not ideal, but it'll do the job. That's probably the biggest regret. That's probably the only regret. I don't really miss anything else. And it's great because I don't have to take part in the whole Canon v Nikon fights on Facebook. It's great.
It's like, I'm just Fuji.
Yeah, absolutely. You're all wrong. I'm right.
Because I had the 500D, and that was like, I think the first sort of beginner DSLR that had video.
Oh right, yeah.
And I started using like taking pictures of them and that kind of thing. I was like, oh, that's pretty good that. And then I was going to eventually buy an actual video camera. I think it was a Canon XH-A1, which was about $1,000 for just a video camera.
I probably don't need it then.
And then I was looking, and then the 5D Mark II, I got that for the same price.
Right. And with the Canon cameras, presumably you can use the depth of field and you can zoom in.
It's all use the lenses and everything.
So that's brilliant. That's really good.
So the only thing about the XH-A1 was it was analog.
Right.
So you have to record it tape, digitize it, and then do the editing.
Analog, what's that?
Which do you prefer? Well, we've already said about the Fuji or the Canon.
The Fuji, yeah, definitely.
Because I got the X100 as well, because I wanted like another camera instead of carrying on a big massive 5D, and I got that, and it's just.
Well, the X100, there's two advantages. There's two things I wish the the X Pro one had that the X100's got. One is perfectly silent. You can switch everything up. It's fantastic for street photography. And the second thing is it's got it'll sync up to 1,000. Which is just awesome. It's got kind of a built-in ND filter as well, which brings you 3 stops down, which means on a bright sunny day you can overpower the sun, which is just fantastic. Really good. But X Pro 1 doesn't have that, which if they could build that, it would just be awesome.
Perfect camera.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I did some live stuff with the X100, it was just amazing.
How do you find it? It's good. Yeah, it's the downside is, and there's loads and loads and loads and loads of press about this. The downside for the Fujis is the focusing can sometimes be a bit of a nightmare. I still have that problem with the X100, especially if I'm shooting at night. The X Pro 100's had quite a few firmware upgrades, and it's a lot better than it was. It locks on pretty quickly now. And generally with the Fujis, once it's locked on, it's in focus, which is great.
So now, like the X100, there was a lot more out of focus shots than there was with the 5D I was doing,
but Canon were never good enough focus it anyway.
And to shoot RAW or JPEG?
Right. I'm so shit. Always shot RAW when I had the Canons. Always did. Just people used to say to me all the time, shoot RAW, because I was still a JPEG shooter. Shoot RAW, and I thought, okay, fine, I'll start shooting RAW. And it's a huge difference. It does make a massive difference. There's 2 reasons I don't shoot RAW on the Fujis. The first one was that Lightroom didn't have a proper profile for RAW files with the Fuji, because it's different sensors, and it just, apparently the quality was awful. And you do get a processing system with the Fujis on the disc, but apparently it's really clunky and differences. I've never tried it. And the other reason is that the JPEG quality on the Fujis is unbelievable. The resolution, the quality, occasionally you'll get a blown out highlight and you cannot get it back. But generally you can. The JPEGs are fantastic quality. So I don't really need to shoot RAW. I know some people would agree with that.
Well, on my camera I shoot RAW. And I was going to do it on the Fuji, but I was reading up to it saying like you don't need to, because the JPEGs that I got from it are really good. Like I shoot the Fuji JPEG, and the file sizes.
That's it. And that's the good thing about the Fujis as well, especially with the 100, because there's no way of zooming in. Actually, there isn't for me with the X Pro, because I've only got the one lens at the moment. You can crop quite heavily and still get really good quality, which is just fantastic. So that's why I don't worry too much with street stuff. If I can't get really close, I'm still happy to shoot, because I know I can crop it later. I'd rather get closer if I can, but sometimes you just can't. But yeah, brilliant.
I know what your answer is going to be, but natural light or flash, what should you prefer?
Well, God, I change my mind on this every week. At the moment I'm trying to use as much natural light as I can, but I've always used flash. The lighting, I think, has always been a weak point with me. It's something I've always struggled with. I'm better now than I was, but I think I get a little bit lazy with lighting. Thinking the stuff I've shot with natural light, it's just so much easier. And I do like the effect of it, because I do like shadows. I like dark shadows. I like lots of blacks, but at the same time I generally always take a flash with me. I've got 2 flashes. I'm generally happy to just use one. Depends where I am, what I'm shooting. I honestly, if I can shoot natural light and get away with it, I'll shoot natural light. But if I need flash, I'm quite happy to take it with me and use it. But even the way I use flash has changed recently. But I'll come on to that.
And what about camera settings? Are you full manual or?
Well, again, something else that's changed. Although I do mostly shoot manual. When it was the Canons, all I shot was manual. Everything was manual. With the Fujis, again, it's because they've kind of built them a bit like an old rangefinder. So you set the aperture on the lens barrel and everything. I tend to set the lens aperture to where I want it and put the shutter speed on auto. take a couple of pictures, see what the shutter speed is. Obviously, if it's too slow, I'll then up it a bit, mess about with the ISO or whatever. So I would say where it used to be 100% of the time manual, it's probably 75% manual now. Street shooting, shoot aperture priority, and just go for it. But I've just recently got a Canon film camera.
Right.
And that's a shutter priority based camera, which I never ever thought I would ever shoot shutter priority. But I'm kind of getting used to that, so I may give that a go with the digitals, but we'll see.
I know when I first started shooting weddings, I wasn't into the whole manual thing, so I was shooting like aperture or shutter, and I preferred shutter over aperture.
Right.
Because
see, I'm obsessed with the shallow depth of field. I'm trying to stop myself doing it, but it's so I've always gone that way. Aperture's always been more important. But I do know plenty of people that shoot shutter priority, and maybe it's something I should give it a go to.
Because it's like, if you're shooting in a dark situation, if you don't have the aperture right, then it gives you a slow shutter. So I prefer to have the shutter speed bang on and then do that. That's wrong with the ISO, but it's all manual now. So. And what's your sort of favourite place to shoot in F numbers? Like shooting wide open or
1.5? If I go above 2.8, I start to get a nosebleed. I don't know where it's come from. I've always done it. I bought when I had the Canon. I bought God, what was it? It was a Sigma 30mm 1.4. I've never been as low as, was it 1.8? 1.8. And I think 2.8 was ever the highest I've ever been able to get. So I had this camera all of a sudden 1.8, and the bokeh was beautiful on it, and I just got obsessed with shooting wide open, and that's kind of carried on. I'm trying to change that. I'm trying really, really hard, but it's just what I've always shot. I think it's kind of become my style, if you like. People know it's kind of, you know, but that's why most of the stuff's out of focus, because it's such a challenge.
It seems like I got the nifty 50mm at f1.8, and using that,
it's fantastic. It's just, I love it, and I really like close-ups with an Orbis. And at 1.8, well, literally you've just got the eye in for 1.4. You've literally just got the eye in focus, and even the front of the nose is out. I love that. I love it.
And what about software do you use to edit them?
Lightroom 4 I'm using at the moment. Stopped using Photoshop 2 years ago and started using Lightroom instead. Took a while to get used to it. I had it about a year before I could get used to it. Couldn't work it out. Eventually did a bit of Googling, went on a few other sites. A couple of mates who had it said, look, you just do this, this and this. And now I just find it invaluable. It's cut my processing time down massively. Because although I use presets, I'll set a preset up and then I'll tinker with it, so it's not a case of bang, 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 right, they're done. Although I'm not one for skin smoothing, it's just something I never do. I used to completely overdo it. I used to thin waists and large boobs and lengthen legs, and I just realised that's all terrible, and I'm not interested in it now. It's always been a big spot on my face. I'll get rid of that. But
I think it's like things which they've always got, then you don't do that.
Absolutely not. There's a model I worked with recently who's absolutely fantastic. She's got a couple of modes on her face, and she told me that some photographer had taken them off. She was absolutely furious, and that part of her, it's like taking her nose off or removing one of her ears or something. So no, stuff like that I've never removed. But you know, a spot that's not going to be there in a week's time, take that off.
Definitely. What about like sorting your images and importing them and choosing which ones to edit?
I've got kind of a nice workflow. I kind of like the way I do. Memory card, put them in the folder that I want to put them in, then in the Lightroom, just download the folder when they come up, and that's it. It's that straightforward. And then when you export as JPEG, save them after I've processed them, just in a folder within the original folder. And it's really straightforward.
And when you're going through, you like go through select ones which you think are good and star them, or do you just...
I've been trying to get into the habit recently of deleting more stuff, because I've got thousands of, I'm sure we all have thousands and thousands and thousands of pictures, that I'll never process, nobody will ever see, and I really need to clear my hard drive up. But they've got, I don't do that. What I tend to do is, as I go through Lightroom, you use Lightroom obviously, I just put them into quick collection.
Right.
So everything goes into quick collection that I'm going to process. I'll then go into quick collection, go through them again, and occasionally you miss one, or you put one in there, you think, why have I put that in there? Sorry, that was my phone. Why have I put that in there? And it works the other way as well. Occasionally I'll go back into an old folder and have a look through, and I will find one or two, and I think, actually, that's not a bad shot. And when you find new ways to process stuff, or you've got new ideas, you think, actually, that photo will work with that processing. So it happens occasionally, but I need to delete more stuff than I do, or take less pictures. That would be the other option as well.
So, do you have them all stored on your hard drive, or do you have like...
I have a hard drive, and I have them stored on an external hard drive as well, and I did used to back up on disk as well, which I haven't done for a long time, and I just know that's going to bite me on the bum one day, so I really need to start doing that again. At least the ones that I process. Maybe not too worried about the ones that I don't process. But certainly the ones that I keep, then I mean, they're all online somewhere. The ones that I've kept, so I can get them, but at the same time, it's better back them up.
Because the way I do it, I've got like a folder for the originals. I've got another folder for edited images, and then sort them in like years, months, days, and I back them up on the hard drive and do that.
Oh yeah, I do that. I mean, I've got like at the minute I'm using a folder that starts off 2013, and then in that folder there's street, parties, events, bands, models, whatever, and then in those folders there's each individual model or each party or whatever or event. So yeah, that's all broken down.
But the way I do it with the Lightroom, I get off the memory card, put it in the pictures folder, import them, and then I put like the originals on the hard drive, and then just delete the ones when I go through. So
you delete right from there off, you get rid of the rubbish.
So like,
see, if someone's got blinky eyes or it's overexposed or whatever, delete them straight away. But that's probably a better way of doing it, to be honest with you.
Back them all up, and then just once I've deleted them off the hard drive, then I'll edit them, and then just back up the edited ones.
I might look into that. That sounds quite a good idea, actually.
Because obviously, when I'm shooting with RAW on the Canon, it takes up a lot of space. So I found it easy that way, just to get rid of them straight away, and then once you've edited them.
I might look into that. That sounds like a more sensible way of working. Yeah, thanks, Keith.
Because I used to do the same. I just have loads on the computer and that, and it's just getting too much.
Well, I think I've got about. I looked a while back, I'm sure it was about 270,000 files. I've probably got more now, so must be 300,000. Just ridiculous.
And when you edit your photos, do you listen to any music or do anything?
Yeah, usually. If I don't have the TV on, I'm usually listening to my iPod.
Do you put it like with your headphones or?
No, just I've got one of those little. I've got an iPod dock, or two of those. I've got a little one and a big one. Whichever's to hand, I'll just plug that in and listen to that.
Anything specific? Or?
Well, usually my favourite bands or any new albums I've got that week or that period of time. But it rock music, country and rock. I like both kinds of music, country and rock. But I listen to music all day, every day anyway. Even at work I can listen to music, which is great.
But it is the army, and I just put some music on, just crap on.
Well, you're a music obsessive as well, aren't you? You love your music. But I've worked in the music industry for quite a while before that died a death, and music's always been a passion. Although I have become that guy where I see I'll drive past the Academy and it'll go such and such sold down. And I think, who the hell are they? I have no idea who they are. Will that matter? You just edit it out, or?
Absolutely. So what about your style? How did you find it, and how do you keep it up?
God, I don't know if I have. I sometimes think I have, and other times I think I haven't.
I was saying to you when there was the image of Georgia, she put on Instagram, I shot with her before, and then when I saw the picture, I was like, oh, that's Chris's. Oh, she's posted it.
Yeah, it's. I get told this a lot. People go, oh, no, when it's one of your shots, or I'll see a shot and go, wow, looks like one of Chris's. But I don't know. It's I thought I had a style. I thought I had a look, if you like. And then just recently, I've really got into the sort of retro, grainy film look, and I've processed a lot of images that way. So that's kind of changed the way I do things. But I suppose with a wide open f-stop, that's kind of a big clue that it's one of mine. I don't know. I really thought I had my own look and my own style, which is something I've always wanted. And I know not everybody likes that. People think you've got to be versatile and do this, that, and the other. But I think if that's the case, your stuff just looks like everybody else's. It could be anybody that's taken it. I've always felt that there's on some of the sites that I go on, there's loads of technically brilliant photographers. But a lot of the stuff looks the same as somebody else's. I'm not a big worrier about technical ability. Yes, I'd like to be a technically better photographer. I think we all are. Yeah, but I'm not worried about that. It's the least important thing for me. It's always been the feel of a photograph, the feel of an image that I like more than anything. And that's kind of, I always say my photography is like a rock and roll attitude, if you like. It's like, example I always use, I know some people won't know who the hell I'm talking about, but there was a bass player called Jaco Pastorius, who was a jazz bass player, and Lemmy, another bass player everybody knows. Now, Jaco Pastorius is a million times better than Lemmy, but he's also a million times more boring. No disrespect, I know he's dead now. So it's that kind of attitude, and photography is art, I think, just by definition of what it is, and therefore it's open to personal taste. And I see a technically brilliant photograph and go, that's a great photograph, but it leaves me a bit cold. It doesn't really move me. And then I can see something that's maybe not technically great, but just has something about it. Same as a great record. You know exactly what I mean. Yeah, so I think that's. I still think I've got a way to go before I've got a definitive style. But hopefully I'll get there. I'd like to.
So now I've come on over the years and done a lot of different things, because when I used to do all these urban exploration things, the old band used to be like really dark editing. I used to do that as well, and then it went completely different.
Right.
When I started doing the weddings, and then now it's completely different again, doing like more portrait stuff.
I think the more you shoot, the more you learn, obviously. But I definitely think a friend of mine was talking about another photographer local here who will remain nameless, who's always been really, really good. And their work seems to have taken a dip recently. And they haven't been doing it that long, but I said to the friend, I think that's the way it goes though. You don't go like that. You start and you go up, and then you have a little dip, and then you go up again, and then you level out, then you might have a really bad dip, and then all of a sudden there's a big jump, and it's just a constant roller coaster of getting better and better and better. But eventually you do start there and end up there, but you've got to go the long way around to get there. I think.
But I think it's like if you do the same thing over and over again, it gets a bit.
That's my biggest criticism of myself. I tend to stay in my safety zone all the time, and it's bad, I know, but it's just that's what I want to shoot. But you're right.
But I guess if you get to a point where it's like really good work, then if you keep doing the same, then
I think or you're going to get really bored, and that's the time where you either pack it in, which I don't think I'll ever do, or you try something else, which I think is probably where I'll go next. But what, I don't know. It'll always be people, there'll always be models, because that's what I want to do. But I'm not sure where I'll go with that.
And I know you mentioned before about second shooting at weddings.
Yeah, I've never actually done it yet. It's something I'm really, really keen to do. I've got plenty of friends who are wedding photographers, and I've done a few weddings myself, but it is so stressful. And I didn't enjoy them, and the pictures were alright. Not great, but whereas second shooter, I think would suit me down to the ground. I can be ignored, I can use my X100 or my X Pro dead silent, nobody even notices. Go around and get loads of sort of behind the scenes and loads of candids, and I think pass the memory card over to the main photographer at the end of the day, get me money and go, and that would suit me down to the ground. I would really like to do that. But it's hard work. A couple of friends have asked me to do it, but I haven't actually got. It hasn't actually happened yet. But I think it will. It will. I don't think I'll ever become a full-time wedding photographer. I couldn't do it.
Well, I was wanting to get back into it because I
enjoy it.
That's right. I do, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the challenge and
too stressful. You get that wrong, you've got an enemy for life.
yeah.
And I can't cope with that amount of pressure.
But I think it'd be quite good to do like a second shooter because, well, I did a wedding video recently. And it was good because I was just sort of shadowing the photographer.
Yeah.
I wasn't in charge of it at all. It was nice.
See, that side of it, that's what I like. Right, there's your camera, there's your memory card. Just go off and do what you need to do. No pressure. You just get your pictures and you're done. I wouldn't even process them. There's your memory card. You process them. The pictures.
Well, at the end of the day, that photographer's getting the money and the work off their sort of style and that kind of thing. So they would edit the photos.
That's right. Yeah. So and I think with stuff like that, with second shooter candids, I don't know if it's a cliche or if it's just the way it is, but I always think that stuff looks better in black and white.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's great. I think it would work really well. But yeah, hopefully I'll get a chance soon.
Yeah. Well, I said before.
Yeah,
Be
definitely. It was a show. Although I'll have to buy a suit, which I don't like. Take her up.
Actually, only have a shirt, tie, and trousers, and that's it.
Yeah, I have to buy trousers and a shirt.
What about inspiration? Where do you find it from? Because I know you've got a Tumblr full of inspiration pictures and that.
Since day one, really, my main influence is music. Bands, singer-songwriters, rock bands. Music's always been the biggest influence. And the first photographer that I probably fell madly in love with his work was a guy from New York called Bob Coulter.
Right.
Now, Bob Coulter, it's adult stuff. It's porn basically, but it's done very different. It's really raw, which I guess that stuff would be, but it's not. It's kind of difficult to explain. It's like you say, it's porn, and people get an image in there of what it's going to look like, but it isn't. It's completely different. And it's very raw. It's very edgy. He breaks loads of rules. He uses a wide-angle lens, which he shouldn't be paid on. He uses flash. Half the time they're in the shots, the flashes he doesn't put in. And his lighting's it's actually brilliant. Lots of harsh shadows. He was a major influence on me for a long time. Whereas now I'm getting into a lot of this kind of street fashion, street grunge fashion, whatever people want to call it. This guy called Kenny Sweeney. They're all based in LA, these lot. Van Styles, Luke Pearsall. Actually, I wrote a list earlier because I knew I'd forget. Kesler Tran, Joseph Tran, Larson Sotello, Lucas Passmore, Ted Evans, a Russian guy called Alexander Tikhomarov. I don't know if you've seen his stuff. Really kind of, it's almost soft erotica with a kind of fashion edge, with a kind of, it's just difficult to explain, but it's really good. And probably my favourite out of all of those is a guy called Carlos Nunez. Again, another LA-based guy. They're all kind of fashion photographers. But it's all very sort of street fashion, it's quite edgy, it's not what you think of somebody like, I don't know, Rankin maybe, it's like a fashion photographer to me, but I don't, or what's the girl called, the really well known, Jade, Flower Jade, to me that's what classic fashion look. And whereas I like the kind of edgier stuff, which again is street fashion for want of a better term. But Bob Coulter was always the biggest influence, but all those guys were a big influence at the moment.
And do you follow any specific blogs?
God, yeah, we're too many. Sort of from a general photography point of view, there's Zach Arias, Joe McNally, Eric Kim for the street stuff, who's just brilliant. He's an influence on the streetwise. And then all the Tumblr. Tumblr is just a fantastic source of inspiration. Because obviously there's Pinterest as well, which I've got as well. But I've got 4 Tumblrs, and I use 3 of them in one of my stuff. I've actually just started a new one with my stuff on it. But the main Tumblr that I have is, I just got it Grammy Ballad Loves, rock and roll and fashion. And it's just street fashion, all that sort of edgy stuff, and that, it's just, I think I've got about 2,000 pictures on there that I've saved from other photographers, which I just use as a constant inspiration thing.
What about YouTube and podcasts?
I don't use YouTube as often as I should, to be honest with you. I do look at it, it's usually if I'm looking for reviews of things, I'll go on YouTube. I watch the Chinese guy. It does the reviews.
Digital Rev.
Yeah, Digital Rev car. I watched that a lot. Although he's become a right miserable subject. I don't know what's wrong with him. But I do like that. That's a really good one. Just be fun. I don't know. I don't use it as often as enough. I think there's probably stuff on there. If I'm ever trying to learn how to do something, I'll always Google YouTube or look at YouTube, because it's watching a video how to do something is always easier than reading it. But I probably don't use it as much as I should.
I've got quite a few set up on subscriptions. I get emails when I've done that Nikon guy, Matt Granger.
Yeah.
That one's good. Digital Rev. I said before, Jared Paul and Florence Small, and a few other ones for different photographers.
I mean, I'm constantly online looking for stuff. There's a site called Photo. I can't remember the name of it. And that's just loads and loads and loads of different photographers. And I've come across a guy from Canada called Matt Barnes, who I'll mention a bit later, connected with something. And he's a Canadian guy. His work's fantastic. What the heck's this photo? No, I can't remember. The other guy I like as well is British guy Damien.
Is it Lovejoy?
No, not Lovejoy. It's completely out of my head. Lovejoy. I like his work a lot. It's sometimes a bit clean for me though. Polished. But yeah, he's good. I like him.
And what about favourite photographers at the moment and of all time?
Pretty much, well, those guys that I just mentioned before, Kenny Sweeney, Nuno Carles, Lassen Sotelo, they're all really, really good. Bob Culver's probably my favourite of all time. I like all the classic ones as well, the David Bailey's and all those people. But I think the trouble is there's so many good ones that it's very difficult to pick a specific one. So this is my favourite photographer of all time. And then people like Vivian Mayer come along who you'd never heard of and nobody'd ever heard of, and all of a sudden you've got that huge catalogue of just unbelievably good street photography. So she's fantastic, almost fantastic. But there are just a huge amount. Those guys that I mentioned earlier, the Kenny Sweeneys and Van Stars and all those guys, I think they're probably my favourites at the moment. But if I had to pick one, it'd be Bob Coulter.
And have you worked with many other photographers?
Yeah. I love to do it. Obviously, I work for you. Brian James, used to be once known as the infamous Dirk German. One of my favourite photographers and a real close friend, Emily Cromarty. I've worked with her a few times. Love working with her. Hannah Todd, who I think is another fantastic local photographer. She's got some fantastic ideas. She comes up with some great. You should interview her definitely. Who else do I really like? There's so much talent out there. I sometimes get quite depressed with it, to be honest with you. I think, why do I bother?
Because I was saying to you, it'd be good that I want to do in the future, do photo shoots with other photographers where I do video to sort of cover their shooting.
Brian likes doing that. He takes a lot of behind the scenes shots. And another thing that we do a lot is Mayfield Studio in Newcastle. There's a Dave Gilfillan, who I mentioned earlier, him and his wife Dawn. They quite often hire the studio, and us three and Paul Jobs from Darren Durham. They're not group shoots. Group shoots I can't be doing with, but they're basically, we book the studio for 6 or 8 hours, and you get your own models, and you arrange with them the shoots, and you do that, and that's always a whole load of fun. I always enjoy it. It's not strictly shooting with other photographers, but you're in the same environment, and it's a lot of fun. And then obviously the thing we did where I was starting a series, as one of the many series that I start, of shooting girls in a moving car. Didn't quite work the way I wanted, because I didn't realise my angle wasn't going to be wide enough for the amount of space we've got sitting in the back of a car. Having said that set we got with Stacey, I still love both sets that I did. We did it some that are moving and some where we parked up, and the ones where we're moving, they became something that I didn't intend, in the sense that they were they're very kind of retro, very sort of 70s. There's a lot of camera glare, obviously, because of the movement of the car. But I love that set. I think it worked really, really well, and I want to do more of that. We did try another one, and it didn't work. But we got some nice stuff that with Lauren that night anyway. And I know there's plenty of models that want to do it, and we will eventually get around to doing more.
I think at the end it was because it was your idea, and I think I've done more Girls and Cars.
You've done loads of them now, haven't you? I've done the one. I will get more of it. It would help if I had a car, but then I can't drive and take pictures anyway, so.
Just stick it on a tripod, remote.
Yeah, it'd be alright. Stick it on the roof, dig a big hole in the top of the car, and just shoot down that would work.
And what about other projects? Like, what do you have in the future, and what ones have you done in the past?
Well, I'm always coming up with ideas. Some of them get carried on and go on forever, like the infamous Nonzo.
What did that come about? Like
Nonzo's, have you heard of Gonzo?
Yeah, something like the Gonzo, like the point of view, like first person point of view.
Yeah, obviously not the character from the Muppets. Again, it's a porn term where the actual cameraman is involved in the scene, and so it's based on that, but it's not Gonzo, hence Nonzo. The actual style of shooting, I'd seen loads of times before. Bob Culver had done it. There's a guy in Leeds called Jim Mawson, who's a fantastic sort of fashion glamour photographer guy. I'd seen him do a set, and there was a guy in Manchester called, I think it was Dave Story, and he had a blog called The Dirty Story. And it was full of that style, and his shots were absolutely beautiful. They were really erotic in a non-porn way, really sexy and brilliantly shot, and I knew quite a lot of the models. I've worked with a couple of the models that he'd worked with, so and they're just brilliant, and that made me think, right, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do my own version of it. That's where Nonzo came from. So I've got that, and then I've got Who's the Fairest, which is just using a model in a mirror. I've done a few of them. The Girls in that Flat thing hasn't quite developed the way I wanted it to. I've been accused of being a GWC a couple of times because I do a lot of nudes and top and stuff, and sort of that sort of edgy glamour type stuff, if you like. And so I kind of went out of my way to shoot it in that style, so on camera flash and just kind of just kind of quite naff, but it actually really works, and I really liked it. And kind of on camera flash is coming back again, I think, in a kind of weird way. Vice magazine and stuff like that, they do a lot of stuff like that. And there's a Dutch photographer called Sander Dekker. He uses a lot of on camera flash. Terry Richardson, one of the biggest names in the world, and he gets away with it. So. So there's that, and then I'm doing something else which I'm quite excited about, and I haven't really started this yet, called Any Age, Any Sex, Any Size.
I saw you put on asking.
Yeah, a girl said a few weeks ago that all you ever seem to do is shoot pretty slim girls, which isn't entirely true. Yes, mostly, but it isn't entirely true. But I thought, yeah, you're right. And years ago there was a thing called Naked New York, which was a guy. Picture of somebody naked, picture of somebody dressed.
Where you go on the website and then it's like, I think you scroll over the map.
Yes, and then the clothes disappear, that's right, but he also did Naked London as well. I don't know if it was the same photographer or a different photographer. And I thought, right, I'm going to do something similar. And I basically want non-models, and I'm hoping to do 50 people, 25 guys, 25 girls. What I'll do with it, I don't know. It may go on a website, it may go in a book. I just don't know. I'll see what happens, see how it goes. I've done one person so far. But I'm hoping weekend after next I'm going to start getting that up and running. Loads of people interested in it. It was great. I put the thing up on Facebook. Masses of interest, and it was good as well because I got quite a lot of models who said, well, I'll do it. And it's like, I've shot you starters before, you look amazing naked. You can't do it. Right? I want every bit, and I'm also going to have to do a self-portrait for it, or get somebody else to take a shot of me. I feel like I have to be in it. Really don't want to be. Nobody wants to see this naked, but I just feel that I'm going to have to do it. I might borrow a prosthetic.
Just do like a Chili Peppers one with the sock.
Yeah, well, I may do. If I can find a large enough sock, I'll give that a go.
What about the Sunset Strip stuff? What's that one?
Sunset Strip, that's a weird one.
Because there's a lot of good stuff on that.
A lot of people loved it. A lot of people liked it, and it kind of opened a few doors as well. I got a little bit of paid work out of the Synset strips. But for those who don't know, Synset strip was my adult erotica, or porn as some people call it. But it had a certain class about it, I think it's fair to say.
I think it's like the same. Most of it was in black and white, so it was.
Yeah, it was all black and white. It was all natural light. It was strong. It was hardcore stuff. But it's actually some of my favourite work I've ever done.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I expected to kind of move further into that side of things, and it didn't quite work the way I wanted it to. And this isn't why I stopped doing it. Obviously, in January I had a heart attack while I was shooting Apollo, which most people seem to find highly entertaining and amusing.
Yeah, because I was going to get you to do some behind the scenes photo when I was doing a music video,
right?
And it was the day before, and then texting me was like, I can't. I'm in
hospital. I've had a heart attack.
I'm shooting the film.
So I've not actually shot any since then. I'm friends with quite a few people that are in the industry and that do adult stuff, and they're constantly saying, you know, we're going to come up, we're going to shoot with you, we really want your stuff, we love it, we love it. Yeah. And I will get back into it, and I will start shooting again. You can see some of the Synset strip on Flickr. I've got a different Flickr account, although I must admit I haven't updated it for ages. I need to look at that. I don't know, it's difficult. Maybe I'll get back into it properly, maybe I won't. But I'd like to, because I do enjoy it. It's a lot of fun, obviously. But yeah, it's good fun.
And what about your recent modelling with Emily Cromartie?
This about 4 years ago, I had an idea for a shoot. No, maybe about 3 years ago, and we talked about it for about a year. Me and Greg Jameson, photographer in Sunderland. I wanted him to shoot it, and it was a redneck thing, and it was me, and I had 4 daughters and a wife, and all this thing, and it never got off the ground. It was too complicated. There was too many people involved, and it all disappeared. It never happened. And then about 3 months ago, I was surfing, and I found this guy I mentioned before, Matt Barnes from Canada. And he had a thing online called Rural Relations, and it was basically the idea that I had, but it was one guy and one girl.
Yeah.
And you look at it and you go, is it his daughter? Is it his wife? Is it his girlfriend? You just weren't sure, you know. Yeah. And it's really well done. And I thought, this is it. So I got in touch with Emily, and I said, look, Emily, I said. Sorry, England, I've just stopped. Sorry. I said to Emily, I said, look, have a look at this link, what do you think? And she was like, oh, brilliant. Because Emily's a really good fashion photographer, and I wanted it to have that edge. Yeah. Even though it was me modelling, this is not a model in a million years. But I wanted it to have a fashion edge to it. So I went to her and I said, look, how do you fancy it? She went, yeah, we'll do it. So we put her casting up on Facebook, we need a model, she's got to look like this. We didn't tell anybody what the idea was. Eventually we got a model who really, really well known nationally, really. Frankie Wild, she's a burlesque performer and model. She's a designer, I think, and she makes headpieces. She's just a very talented lady. And although she's very classy, we needed somebody who could do white trash. Yeah. And I thought, I can do white trash really easily. and I thought, she's ideal, you know, she's perfect for it. And Emily was like, yeah, let's get her to do it. So we told her what it was, and she was like, yeah, let's do it. So anyway, we shot it, and we had just the most fun ever. And then Emily decided that she was going to make a book out of it. Yeah. And so she did. It's just a self-financed blurb thing, but you can buy it at all good blurb websites, and it's brilliant. I absolutely love it, and it was just so much fun. I make such a good model.
Good images in there.
The images are great. I mean, I absolutely. You've looked through the book, and everybody that's looked at it has kind of gone, wow. There's been a little bit of controversy because Emily called it Daddy's Little Girl. Yeah. And I think people completely got the wrong idea. A lot of people said, is this about incest? And it's like, no, not at all. And people just think it's wrong, but it's
just like a theme.
It is a theme, and it's a fun thing, and it works, and I really like it. Frankie was fantastic. We had makeup artist Christina Foster doing the makeup on it, and she's just like ultra talented. Yeah. And we just spent a whole day up near Standing Station, and it was absolutely brilliant. I love this book; it's so much fun. Brad Pitt.
Nothing on you.
Nothing. Not a thing.
I know I mentioned about the video before. You got a video camera to use. Did you use much?
I did have. It was lent to me by somebody who's in the adult industry. She said, I don't use it. She bought it to do her videos.
Yeah.
She said, I never use it. You can have it as long as I can borrow it when I need it and you do some video for me. So I was like, brilliant, absolutely perfect. And I never used it for the month I had it. She said, I need to borrow the video camera back, and I've never got it back since. So I did have a video for about a month, which I never ever used. And I do really want to get into video. The footages are okay, but you can't zoom in, there's no change of depth of field. You've got to basically be able to put it on a tripod and just go from there. So they're not ideal. I've done a couple of sort of really short things, which are nice, people like them, and I'd like to do more, and I will do more on the footages, but eventually I'll get a proper... I'd really like one of these GoPro things. Stick that on the camera while you're doing a shoot. It's just brilliant.
It'd be great to do like that as a behind the scenes thing, so I can actually film them shooting, but have a first point.
Yeah. No, we'll arrange that and come along and do that. It'd be a great idea. Yeah.
So I got the idea from on Phono's photo. He has a 10-minute portrait session.
Alright.
It's normally about half an hour. It's just him basically shooting the model and explaining what he's doing and that kind of thing. And there's also on Digital Wave the Protog cheap camera, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
A 10-minute time limit. So I thought
the Zach Harris one, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was. You gave him a really.
Did he have?
Was it Chase Jarvis who got the Lego?
Because it was like a Lego one, a Buzz Lightyear one.
Oh, I didn't see the Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah, that was good.
I think Chase Jarvis had the Lego one.
Yeah.
And Zach Harris had this really crappy point and shoot.
Did he have?
But the pictures he produced are fantastic.
Yeah.
Because he was using a flash as well. I'm not quite sure how he synced them up.
I think it was using the flash on the camera to trigger the one.
Right.
Yeah.
But the pictures he came up, which just, it's that whole proof of you don't need
the equipment.
Great expensive kit.
Yeah.
Your image quality is obviously always going to be better on a more expensive camera, but he produced some great pictures.
I suppose it's a lot easier to get the shot having the best equipment kind of thing.
Yeah.
In terms of that, but you don't need it to do it.
You don't.
And what about film shooting? I know you've started to do a bit of film.
There's a camera shop just up the street from here, and I was in there one day, and they had all this ridiculously cheap film equipment, and I thought, you know what, let's do it. So I bought it, regretted it immediately, and tried to sell it. The guy who was going to buy it off me didn't want it. That's not true. We borrowed it for a week. He put a film in it, borrowed it for a week, came out and said it doesn't work. I was like, what do you mean it doesn't work? He said none of the pictures have come out.
Yeah.
So I took it back, they had a look at it, they said, did you do this and did you do that? Yeah, did you do that? Oh no, I didn't do that. They said, well, when you've done that, you need to do that.
Yeah.
Alright, okay then. So we put another film in, and I went off and shot a film, and out of the 36 exposures, I think I got about 21. And of course the best pictures were the test shots I took of brick walls and stuff, so really boring pictures of nothing. But it was a learning experience, and I got 3 or 4 really nice portraits out of it and a couple of other things. And I thought, yeah, these are cool, so I like this. So there's another film in there at the minute, and what I'm doing whenever I go and do a model shoot now, I'm taking it with me and make sure I get 2 or 3 of the model on film as well. Yeah. I can see me doing more on film. It's a different experience, it's fun. You've got to think about it a little bit more. What I tend to find is with digital, I do what I call scatter shooting. Yeah, exactly, you know, and it's just like, I've taken 300 pictures, we'll get 10 out of it. With film, you only get 36, you've got to get it right, and of course you've got to pay for it to get it back. So you're just a little bit more considered. Although having said that, the camera I'm using is the Canon AE1, and I think it's basically a glorified point and shoot. Because it's shutter priority, it sets the aperture for you. The ISO obviously is the ISO of the film. And then as long as your little lever's in the middle, you're exposed correctly, and that's it. So it's pretty easy to get right, as long as you've got your composure right and everything.
What about if you shoot with one camera, like for the rest of your life? Like if money was no object at all?
God, that's a hard question. If money was an object at all, right? I don't think that's going to make a difference, because I'm not interested in Hasselblad, none of that stuff. Maybe if I had experience with them, I might change my mind, but at the minute it's not something I'm interested in. I think if you'd asked me this a month ago, I would have said the X Pro 1.
Yeah.
But I've noticed with my shoots recently, I've been using the X100 a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's because of the sun, and as I was saying before about the 3-stop ND filter.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, the X100S has come out since then.
Yeah, that's supposed to be...
Which I've not used.
100.
Which apparently everything that was wrong with the X100
Been fixed with it.
Fuji are great for that.
Yeah.
They seem to listen to what the customers want and they do something about it. So apparently the X100S is just phenomenal. Zachary says it's the greatest camera ever. So I'm going to say the X100S. I think if I could just have one camera, it would be that one. Alright, you're stuck at 23mm 1.5 crop. But it's ideal for street. It works for models, certainly. I've had no problem using it for models. But you've got that extra sync speed. Yeah, I think that probably. Yeah, we'll go with that. Either that or the Fuji S7000.
I think for me, I'll probably stick to the 5D Mark II.
Everybody I know that's had the 5D Mark II says it is an amazing camera.
Because when I was doing the research between the Mark II and the Mark III, they were saying there's not that much difference. So you might as
I
well
don't think you
get
need to
cheaper
go
than
Mark III. How much is it? About £3,000 or something?
Something like that.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
And what about your favourite things to shoot? Like models, music, street?
Models. I love doing street photography. I absolutely love it. I don't do it often enough, but I really always enjoy it when I do it. Models has its frustrations, as you're sure you've experienced the same as most photographers. And it works the other way around. I know models get frustrated with photographers, so don't have a go. I'm not being mean. It has its frustrations, but when it works, when you shoot a new model and she's fantastic, and she brings her own ideas, and you don't have to be forcing her to move into, she just knows what's doing. That's a fantastic experience. And I always go, I'm not really sure what my favourite part of the shoot is. I don't know if it's the actual shooting. I think it's the getting home, putting the stuff on the computer and looking at it for the first time. I think that's my favourite bit. And then the next favourite bit is when they're ready to go online. You go on the blog or the website or whatever. But you definitely shoot models. And I think the nice thing about the whole photography side of things is the amount of really close friends I've made with other photographers, models, makeup artists, designers, the whole works. It's opened up a whole thing, and it's kind of, when you're a guy of my age, I mean you're a lot younger than me, but when you're my age, and these are proper friendships with women in their early 20s, there's always a line there. You become very close friends with these people, but at the same time, anyway, I'm band clubbing with them. So it's good. It's brought a whole new thing into my life since I started doing it. There's a downside as well. There's people that you meet who you don't get on with quite so well. But that's true anyway.
Well, it's the same with anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what about studio or location?
Location, definitely. Studio, I think, has always been another kind of weak side to my stuff. I love using Mayfield. It's a fantastic studio. The guys that run it are brilliant. It's a good space, great size. Although I think the last 2 times I've booked it and shot there, I've been outside most of the time. They're completely wasted money, but never mind. Definitely location though. I much prefer to shoot outside, or inside people's houses, stuff like that.
Because I think the studio shoots that I've done, it's sort of limited as to what you can use, because it's just
you've got a white wall, and of course the biggest downside for studios for me is the props they have. Unless they change them regularly, you see an endless list of photographers using the same props, and it does become a bit repetitive and a bit boring, which I guess is where you've got to put your own slant on it to make it a bit different.
Have your own props.
Exactly, or bring your own props, which I know a lot of photographers do. Paul Jobs, who I mentioned earlier, he does that. He's always bringing a load of, usually bondage gear.
Well, I was because I used to work with my mum.
Right, so you know anyway,
and I was going to do a music video for a band, and it was like a sort of edgy bondage.
Yeah, it was all Paul's gear, wasn't it?
I got in touch with him and he was like, oh yeah, the music gear. But unfortunately that never came off, because I think it was bad weather, and then I just never got rescheduled.
Right.
But, I mean,
The band split up, The band split up.
no, they're still together.
Right, okay.
And what about any shooters? Anything gone wrong, or anything gone?
I think I've been fairly lucky. Obviously, having a heart attack during a shoot, not great. Look, that was probably the worst thing that ever happened to me. I shot on a farm a few years ago and slipped in pig droppings, which wasn't a whole bunch of fun. And it wasn't fun for everybody else because I stank for the rest of the day. Generally, no, I think I've been really lucky. I've never had, in all the time I've been shooting, I've never had a shoot where the model just didn't show. That's quite a common thing. You hear that a lot on the sites.
I think I've had one in total.
I've had loads where they've cancelled,
Yeah.
but I've never had one where they just disappeared off the first day and didn't show. So I'm quite lucky in that respect. Falling in pitch, heart attack. I really can't think of anything else. No, I've been really lucky like that. Yeah, it's worked out pretty well.
Not any like equipment failures or.
Flashes are always a problem. I mean, thankfully, I always remember to carry plenty of spare batteries, but sometimes just getting the flash. Funny enough, not with the Fujis, it's usually with the Canons.
Yeah.
When I was using Canon, I used to have a problem. I used those, I can never pronounce it.
Young now.
That mag. they're really good. I mean, they're cheap, but they're really good. So use them, and they've never let us down. They're really good. I'd probably have pocket wizards if I could afford them, but I don't need them. No. So no, I've been quite lucky. Never had any problems with cameras seizing up on me. I absolutely can't think of anything. Occasionally done things where you've forgotten to bring a light stand or something. Yeah. But generally, no, I've been pretty lucky, I think.
I had one the other day. I was doing a car shoot up in Newcastle.
Right.
So we did all the stuff in the Motor Centre car park, did all that, it was great. And we went to Newcastle to shoot in the street. Like, I'll try out some 2-flash car photography. Took some photos, I was like, yeah, that's great. And then the little triggers, the batteries went dead on one of them. But I didn't have any AAA batteries with it, only AA, so I didn't think I needed any. So it was just back to natural light using that.
Well, that works. Have we scored again? Sorry. That's different goal, next. Yeah. Just said 2-0, I can see from it.
Yeah.
People are going to be able to exactly pinpoint that it's in a certain place.
What about any commercial paid jobs? So I know I saw you did some work for that Dirty Wear clothing.
That was that wasn't paid, but Dave likes the barter system, which I do as well. So that works really well.
Get some free t-shirts.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
So, obviously, I worked on an adult film last year. That was a good paid job. I worked for a couple of times for Face Clothing. That was all right. I do regular, me and 2 friends, a makeup artist and Chrissy that I was talking about earlier, and Sally, who's a pole dance teacher. Yeah. We do a regular thing at Mayfield where people get a makeover, a photo shoot and pictures. They're really popular. We've got one coming up first week in October. That's sold out. That goes really well every time. We do every couple of months. It's not every month thing because I think people get bored of it quite quickly. Did our first sort of boudoir set, the century of us, last month. That went really well. So we're going to do another one just before Christmas. So that brings in money. Commercial stuff. I'd love to shoot kind of more street fashion for clothing companies and stuff like that. And occasionally I ask on Facebook, but nobody ever comes forward. As I said, Dave from Dirty Wear Clothing did, and I think that shit went alright. I think Dave liked the pictures. It was good fun to do. Got 4 models together. That was good fun. Just trying to think if there's ever been anything else. Certainly not as much as I would like. I'd love it to be a regular thing, it'd be great. But no, it's bits and bobs. Funny enough, I just did my tax return today, so that wasn't fun.
What about social sharing? What's your thoughts on it? Like social sharing, like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter?
I love it all. I don't see a problem with it.
So there's a lot of photographers frown on using Instagram and other people using it. I think it's great.
The only downside to it is I really hate it when you process a picture and somebody said, "Oh, it looks like an Instagram," like Instagram invented photo processing.
Yeah.
But anything that's commercial and mainstream is going to do that.
Yeah.
It's so. No, I think Instagram's great, and a lot of those guys that I mentioned. Kenny Sweeney, Van Stars, Noah Callis, you speak to them, or you look on their blogs, so you speak to them because they're not it. You look on their blogs and people go, "How did you get started? How come you so well known?" Blah, blah.
Yeah.
Instagram, Twitter. Twitter's fantastic. Most of the connections I get these days is through Twitter. Facebook, not so much anymore.
Yeah.
But Twitter's fantastic. Instagram, I have no problem with. Tumblr's great. I think this whole social networking thing is good. The only downside is, of course, is people don't talk to each other anymore. They just do it all online. But all my closest friends that I have now, I met online.
Yeah.
You know, I've still got friends that I've known for years before the internet was even invented. But no, I think social networking is great, and I like Instagram. And funnily enough, I'm using it more now than I've ever used it, because what I'm doing, I'll put a setup on my blog. I'll then put another picture up on Twitter.
Yeah.
I'll then put another picture up on Instagram. And I just make sure that they're out there and it's on every feasible thing that I've got.
Yeah.
I mean, the only one I don't use, and I probably should, but it's a slightly different thing, is LinkedIn. I'm on there, and I constantly get requests.
Yeah, I'm saying.
But I never use it, and I probably should. I know a few people said they get work out of it, so maybe we need to. So
do that, yeah. What about your aspirations in terms of photography? Do you want to do it? Well, it'd be nice to do it full time if you get it.
Yeah, I mean that's the dream, obviously, but I don't know. Again, it's something I change my mind on a regular basis. It's really frustrating. It's sometimes I think, right, the dream's gone. It's catch-22 because you speak to anybody that's a professional photographer, and unless you're really, really, really lucky. Not many people shoot what they actually want to shoot. They shoot what they have to shoot to make money out of it. So again, it just becomes a job. All right, a job with a camera in your hand is better than a lot of other jobs. And I think the problem with that is that where I am now, I'm a hobbyist photographer. I shoot a lot. I mean, I do shoot a lot, but I can shoot what the heck I like. And every so often I'll get offered some paid work and I'll go and do it. It might not be my thing, but I'll go and do it. I think that's the other thing as well. I think it's very important. If somebody comes to me and says, "Can you shoot this?" If I don't think I'm able to do it, I will say, "You need to go speak to this guy instead. He can do that. I don't think I'll give you what you need," which is another reason why I don't do weddings anymore. But I think if as a hobbyist photographer you can do what you like, it's nice to earn a little bit of income. It's nice to have a little bit of extra money. I'd like more extra money, and I don't know whether working part-time and doing photography and earning enough money to live on for that would be the perfect scenario. I think the problem, and you see this in all the blogs and all the websites and all these things that photographers talk about, the worst side of that is the photography is about 25% of what you do. The rest is paperwork, marketing,
promotion, and
and it takes away from why we do it. You know, we do it because we love it. And I think I probably finally let the dream go. I don't think I'm ever in a million years going to be a full-time photographer. I still believe I can get myself into a position where I'm doing more and I'm earning more from it, and there's regular things. But it's kind of a wait and see, I think, see how it goes. But I fingers crossed, I hope so.
And what about if you didn't want to do photography, what do you think you'd be doing?
Drinking. I don't know, I'm not a drinker actually, I don't really drink. I don't do, I mean all the things that I used to do before I went to photography, I don't do anything of those anymore. I used to be a season ticket holder at football, I don't go to football anymore. I used to go out a lot more. I don't do that. So I'd probably just be an average Joe doing everything. No, I'm not an average Joe. But I think I wouldn't be doing anything. Photography didn't fill a gap. It was something that I added, and everything that I was doing, I stopped doing. So if photography suddenly disappeared tomorrow, I would probably end up going back to the match,
Yeah.
or going out drinking a lot more, socialising a lot more. So I don't think anything massively would change. I miss it, it'd be awful. I really don't think I could go. I think the thing with photographers, is, and to be honest with you, this is true of any creatives, and it's so funny, I see it so often on Facebook, people ranting about stuff, and it's makeup artists, and it's models, and it's dancers, and it's actors and actresses, and painters, the whole gamut, is you lack faith in yourself, and you lose belief, and you go, I'm not going to do this anymore. Anybody want to buy me camera gear? And I went through a phase a couple of years ago, every bloody month I was going to pack it in because I was so sick of it. And I still feel like that occasionally, but I also know that the day after I'm not going to feel like that.
Yeah.
So I don't rant about it on Facebook so much as I used to. And I think it's hard because you constantly, I don't know what it is, I don't know if it's a need to be told you're good, but then I tend not to believe that anyway. And I think I don't know what it is, I don't know where it comes from. I guess it's that, because I always think, I get told off for this by my friends, I always think I can be sat around a table and there could be a photographer there, dancer there, actress there, model there, another couple of photographers there, and I feel like I'm in a group of creative people, but I don't feel like I'm part of that group. These are just my friends, and I get told off by that a lot, but I just don't kind of see it. So I don't know, I don't think it's I think it's something that always will happen. You'll always be thinking you're not good enough.
Yeah.
And it's true, nobody's ever good enough. You can always improve.
It's like what you see when we look at other people's work and think, that's amazing, I wish I could do that.
Yeah. Exactly, it's constant. And if you're not improving and if you don't feel like that, then you might as well pack in anyway.
Yeah, or take a break and then...
Yeah, exactly. I've come across people, photographers, who think they're the bee's knees and think they're the best thing ever.
Yeah.
And I just think, well, if you think that, you're good, but you're not that good. You need to maybe reconsider, because if you think you've reached the peak of your abilities, then you're not going to get any better. So I think the one thing for me that is a good thing is I know I've got a long way to go still. I mean, I'm processing today and I'm looking at pictures, but I think that's something that everybody does. You finish your pictures, you put them online, you process them, you think, go back and look at them, and you go, I don't like that picture, that's awful. Damn, I didn't see that in the background.
I do that all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nightmare. Lack of attention to detail is probably my biggest failing. Which is another reason I did the Girls in My Place series, because it was supposed to look amateurish, so I thought that would get around that. Doesn't matter what's in the background. That's just lazy.
So I've been going through like all my old archives to do the wedding photos, re-edit them, on my new website to try and get the wedding photos and stuff. And compared to how it was edited back then to now, it's completely different.
Well, I tell you what's weird for me is I look at pictures from 3, 4, 5 years ago, and I think some of them are better than what I've done now. I've still got real favourites from a few years ago that I still love. But it's like with my blog, I've got 300 sets on there nearly. I did have about 320, I deleted about 30 sets. But I hate deleting stuff offline. I hate it. But I'm running out of space. I've used like 60% of my space on there. And I don't know what to do. And I always put 20 or 30 pictures up. Somebody else said, put 10 or 15.
I do the same.
Yeah, I've got to bring it down.
When I split up with my ex-wife, we went from like KT photography and I did like the Fusco stuff. And I went through all the old stuff just to repost them, just so it's on a blog. And it was like, I'll put 10 or 15 images. I was like, well, there's 20 or 30 in that one. So just keep doing that.
You've kind of got to be more brutal with yourself, and I know I have as well. What I've started doing now is I'll go through, I've got various sets ready to go. I'll go through them, there might be 25 pictures, so what I think now is, right, okay, well I'll try and delete 10 of them, it's usually about 5, but I'll put those 5 on Flickr. What I tend to do is what goes on Flickr I tend to put on my Tumblr as well, so there's a copy, but at least they're covered. There's 2 places for people to see them. And I'm doing another series at the moment called Texas Days or Texas Girls, I haven't decided yet. I'm not really saying too much about that, but every girl I shoot with, hopefully they'll be part of it. And then what I'm going to do when that's finished, I'm actually going to put that on my website rather than my blog. So I've been messing about with my website recently. I've actually got it, I really like the way I've got it at the minute. So I'm pleased with that. And I'm just going to put that up, and hopefully all the sets. There won't be sets. There'll be 1 or 2 pictures from each girl.
Yeah.
So it'll just be a gallery of this particular series. So I'm not really pushing that. I'm just, when I go and shoot with a girl, I'll just be like, oh, I've got this as well. Do you want to be part of this? And it's an easy thing to do. It's no big deal for them. So I shot the first one of those last Sunday with Katie Williamson, who is a fantastic model. Really young as well, and she's just, if she keeps going, I think she will. She's just going to be a fantastic model. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, that's about it.
Is that everything?
Yeah.
I bet I talked a right load of rubbish then.
Just over now, so.
Just over an hour's worth out you well.
So
Brilliant.
hopefully I'll get some more of these done with other photographers, and I'll get some.
Well, there's plenty around. I mean, you know, Harry, Emily, Jay, Brian. There's millions of them. Jonathan Keys would be a good one to win with you. Do you know Jonathan?
I don't. I've heard of him.
He still uses the old wet plate stuff.
Yeah.
He did a wet plate shot of me,
I've seen that one. Yeah.
which it was, what a weird experience. It was fantastic, but I love the pictures. Although I think I look Indian on them. Really bizarre. But that was a good fun experience. John was his old film cameras.
Yeah.
But he'd be interesting to review.
Hopefully I'll win one.